Controversial. We have just returned from executive session, at which time there is no vote or action taken, and we will proceed with our agenda as outlined. First of our agenda, we had item A for a discussion related to a proposed economic development project 30-4-78-5. Do we have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And yes, and just so for the record, that would have been item number 2023-49 was that particular resolution. And that was a,
Economic development one?
yes,
Okay.
a resolution approving an amendment to the conditional grant and development agreement dated November 10th, 2022 between the City of Florence and 127 West Evans Historical LLC.
The second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that that resolution economic project has passed. The next item was a discussion related to a proposed economic development project 30-4-78-5, and we received an update. There was simple information, no action or motion was taken, and no action or motion are required at this time. Next, we have C, which is, we received legal advice, 30-4-78-2, and with that particular item there, we received information in order to give out instruction to our city manager. So we have no action on that item.
Can we not make an, take action if we'd like, make a motion on that?
We can. If so,
Yeah.
right.
I'd like to make a motion that in terms of the, legal representation, that we make that a matter of council's approval.
So your motion is for council to identify attorney for...
The legal counsel representing us.
Okay. So that is the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying...
I'm not sure I understand there's a evaluation process that's currently underway involving our city attorney working with our city manager. Are you suggesting that because we have a deadline with the opt-in, opt-out, are you suggesting that all council members do the interviews, or you? I mean, I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, very similar to what we've done in the past in terms of choosing the city attorney, choosing the city interim manager. I mean, I think that our representation as a city manager, as a city attorney, but also legal representation in a matter that's going to affect all the citizens and customers of our water department would require council's approval versus an outgoing city manager that wouldn't be left with the ramifications of that decision.
Clarification on the motion that's on the floor.
Yes.
We have a motion on the floor, and please, Councilman, correct me from how it was stated. The part of the motion, you still want to have a motion that we will do an opt-out with the process. We're going to opt out for the process when it comes to the attorneys. So we're going to opt out and give the city manager that position of knowing that we're opting out. But your motion is to have the city council to identify and approve the attorney. Is that your?
Or simply, it'd be easier to make a motion that we opt out of the lawsuit, of the combined lawsuit, and that council makes a decision on the representation.
Okay, so your motion is for the city of Florence to opt out of the lawsuit and have the city council identify the attorneys.
Correct.
Okay, so that is, okay, I just want to get clear,
Sure.
so that is the motion. Now, I want parliamentary procedure cleared on this. So we're having a motion. So at this point, in order for us to proceed, we need to either have a second or someone to amend that motion. Because
I think Sean seconded it.
so Sandra did a second. So we've got a motion and a second to follow forth with the opting out of the lawsuit and then
May I just sort of clarify what we're
Yes,
talking
sir.
about here, just so there's no misunderstanding? So as I understand it, Councilman Braddock, the issue we have before us is whether the city is going to opt out of the PFAS the Forever Chemical multi-district litigation suit settlement that's pending in Charleston. Is it my understanding that your motion, the first part of it is that we will opt out of the PFAS settlement?
Correct.
And that then the second part is the city needs to retain counsel to pursue its own action against the defendants who are in the PFAS settlement currently. And so council would like, in lieu of the city manager making this decision, council would like to make this decision itself in lieu of the city manager. Although a process has been started of interviewing firms and talking to firms about who would best represent the city's interest in this, rather than the city manager making this decision, you would like city council to make this decision.
Well, we
And so-
certainly would want all that input and advice, but yes, I definitely, I wasn't aware that that process was even occurring. We're
Councilman,
talking about
before we
$80
go
million.
into discussion, as he was clarifying the motion.
So
So
that-
we
without
have
that
a-
issue-
Yeah, that's.
But Ben, don't leave. So right now, we have a motion and a second. So now we're at a point that we can either have an amendment or we can have discussion. Do we have an amendment to it?
We'll have a discussion.
So no amendment, so now we can have discussion. Chair recognizes Councilman
Thank
Bailey.
you. So, I understand you wanted council to make the final decision. And I understand, is my understanding from what we heard, is that the process of evaluating that review and evaluation of applicants is underway. What if it were to be, we were to make a decision, we could even come in at a special call council meeting and come back when the recommendation is made to us about, here's our candidate number one, we think these are our order of preferences. We think these are number one, let's say and I'm just hypothesizing. What if they come back with top three? This is the recommendation number one, then number two, then number three, and then we then take that information, we can go into executive session, I'm sure, have a discussion about it, and then come out and vote. Would
The
that
process
work?
of how we
Chair
come about.
recognizes Councilman
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Braddock to respond.
The process by which we come to a decision, certainly I want to utilize everything that's been done, but with a decision of this magnitude, anything else, we're either involved in the vote on the process or the vote on decision, but yet I find out 30 minutes ago about a vote in a process that I haven't been involved in at all. And I think it's my responsibility on council to be involved in that process.
I understand.
Chair
And my-
recognizes Councilman Bailey to
Thank you.
respond.
Thank you. So my question is, and I understand that, but my question is, if that were to be the way it would happen, would that work for you?
Yeah. I mean, that's
Okay,
the same
so
way it
Chair
would happen.
recognizes Councilman
Yeah,
Braddock. I can come.
So just to be clear on that, so that the process they're already, whatever it is they're already doing, we could have a special call council meeting and then come back and the proposal would be given to us with recommendations, and then we can make a motion and decide which one we want.
Certainly. I got full confidence.
Before we proceed, we have
Would that work?
we have a motion on the floor and we have discussions. So I know that y'all gentlemen are talking back
Yeah,
and forth.
sorry.
So at this point, Councilman Braddock, do you want to revise your motion? Or are you standing with your motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this motion is standing. Do Councilman Bailey wish to amend this motion?
No, I just wanted to clarify that the process we just discussed is consistent with the motion you made. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
So at this point,
I
any
have
other
a-
discussion?
I have a question about that.
Chair recognizes Councilman McCall.
All right, so are we saying you want to restrict the candidates? I guess they got it down to a handful of candidates
They'll bring
now,
three to us.
and we're only to consider those.
Please direct all question to myself or either so you can get
I'm
ready, and or either go to our attorney, so
Okay.
we won't
I'm sorry,
discuss
you're right.
here.
Okay, you're right. So I'm assuming you probably got maybe 20 candidates. You got it down to a few. Well, who submitted proposals?
We talked to about a dozen firms, found about 6 that were interested and qualified, sent letters out to those 6, and we received 3 responses from those 6.
Question.
But that's not to say that you couldn't, I mean, we took, responses were due on the 5th of November. It's not to say you couldn't open it up to more.
We have until December the
To
4th.
opt out,
and
but if you
December
want to
the
opt out, we can go ahead and opt out, and then you can make a decision
About the attorney.
about the
afterwards.
attorney after that.
Is that complete for you?
I mean, I think
Councilman?
it's helpful to have whoever you're going to use advising in the opt-out process, but
Councilman Call, does that
That
conclude your
concludes my
question?
yeah.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman E. Smith Jackson.
What were the qualifications? Because I know you said you looked for, what were the qualifications we were looking
qualifications
for?
were first and foremost what we asked each of these entities to propose. You know, who was involved, because every one of these suits, individual suits, is being brought by a regional group of attorneys with a local attorney that would handle the filings and the actual litigation locally, but a regional group with experience. We want to know who's involved, obviously what the fee arrangement's going to be, how costs are going to be handled, who's going to fund the cost if the costs are actually funded by the attorney and the group of attorneys, what experience these attorneys have with PFAS in particular, but mass tort litigation in general, what other public clients have they represented. I can certainly provide you a copy of the letters that we sent out.
Okay, so if the fee and who's funding it, all of that was part of the qualifications.
Right. That's what we asked to be addressed in a letter to the city manager saying we'd like to make a proposal to represent the city in the PFAS litigation.
Chair
Madam Mayor.
recognizes Councilman Braddock.
Would it be possible to get that information out to council and for us to have a special meeting on that Monday, the 27th at 4 o'clock after we have our interim manager interviews? Would that be enough time for you?
11 days, that's fine.
Would y'all be fine with that?
Go.
Okay, so right now we have a
That
motion on.
Monday?
Right now we have a motion on the floor, so we can handle this motion, and then if we want to proceed after here to set a time and date, we can do that. So right now we have a motion, and the motion is to go ahead to opt out of the PFAS lawsuit,
Multi-district litigation, yes, ma'am.
district litigation, to opt out, and for the council to have the decision-making process of determining that attorney who will be handling it. That is the motion that's before us at this time. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the motion has passed. Okay. And as stated, we follow up outside for his meetings. So next we have we had legal advice 30-4-70A2. Do we have a position or motion at this time?
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that council designate the city manager as the hearing officer for the hearings and appeals according to sections 13 through 15 and 13 through 16 of the city code for the remainder of this calendar year.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the motion has passed. Our last item was a personnel matter that information was received and no action was required. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Do we have a motion and second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.
All right.